Present. All right, so three things. Okay. I wanted you to really get to the understanding that different cultures change their environment differently to fit their needs. And we were looking at the settlements of Jamestown and Werowocomoco. The English settlers brought with them their culture from the old world, from England, and used that culture to design the settlement of Jamestown. And the Powhatan Indians, who ruled over the empire of Werowocomoco, designed their settlement completely differently. And that was very prevalent in the photos. In the photo for Jamestown, you saw that there was a giant fortress around it, but there wasn't a lot of trees, especially when you compared it to the photo of Werowocomoco. That's because they cut down all those trees to make that fortress. Now, remember, when we started this distance learning, you had to look at the different ideas that English settlers brought along with them of how to design a city, one of them being the fortress. So they had to cut down all those trees. There were a whole bunch of trees, but they changed that environment to fit their need of protection because they were closely situated near dangerous animals. They were closely situated against maybe some hostile Native Americans, in this case, the Powhatan Indians. So they needed to have that. Now, if you looked at Werowocomoco, the Powhatan settlement, it is very different. Now, it's important to understand that these places were right next to each other. Some of your responses on the exit ticket last week for this question stated things like, well, if somebody was in a desert, they're going to do certain things differently, but if they're in the Arctic, they're going to do things differently. I mean, that's absolutely true. But that example, you have people in two different locations, a desert and in the Arctic. Jamestown and Werowocomoco are in the exact same area. They experience the same seasons. They experience the same weather. If it rains in Werowocomoco, it's raining in Jamestown. Just like if it's raining in Wilmington, it's going to rain in Philadelphia. Okay, they're pretty much the exact same location. Okay, that's very important. But in Werowocomoco, you see a lot of trees. You saw a lot of physical features in there because they did not want to disturb nature. That was their culture. Now, they did cut down some trees to build their Yeehakens, okay, the houses. They did cut down trees to carve out their canoes so they can go fishing, they can travel along the river and everything like that. But they only changed what they thought was absolutely necessary. That was their culture. Okay, so these two settlements, even though they are pretty much the exact same place, look completely different because the people that settled there have different cultures. Okay, now number 2 we have on the screen, how and where, that worksheet. Use trees and plants. Okay, we just kind of discussed that already with the point number 1, how Jamestown used the trees to, build the fortress, build the fence. Okay, and then also Werowocomoco used it to build their Yeehakens, their canoes, and so on and so forth. Okay, use the river. Now, you should have noticed that in the photo, Jamestown had that one river. Okay, that one body of water surrounding it. They used that river for just about everything. To fish, to drink, to bathe, to go to the bathroom in. I mean, just think about that. In the same water source that they are getting their food and their drinking water that they'll have to boil and everything like that, they are also cleaning themselves off and maybe and going to the bathroom in. I say maybe because the Jamestown settlers really weren't keen on hygiene. Okay, so they didn't bathe very often. All right. Whereas in Werowocomoco in the picture, you saw that there was the river, but also those two creeks, Lay and Bland. Okay. They used the river to fish, sure, to bathe, absolutely. But they also used the creeks there to drink. So they weren't drinking out of the same place that they bathed in. Okay. Which is, to me, a much better situation. Came build their settlement. Okay, we already talked about that when we talked about how Jamestown wanted to build it as a fortress, whereas where Komoko wanted to build it nice and open and things like that. All right, number three, which is best for? Now, this is completely opinionated. This is my responses here. Okay, so you may have had a different answer, but remember, these are opinions. As long as you base this off of things from our sources that we've been using, then you would have received full credit for it. To me, the best place to be a warrior is in Warakomoko, the Powhatan Indians, because in the reading Powhatan Indian World, it describes that from a very early age, the boys are trained to be warriors. They are trained how to use that bow and arrow. They are trained how to hunt. They are trained. They know the land. They know what to do. Whereas in Jamestown, yeah, they may have the guns or muskets. They had the fortress. But those settlers were not really soldiers, were not really warriors. Okay. Whereas in where Komoko, the men were. Okay. That was their sole job. Farming, best place was where Komoko. In the Jamestown photo, you should have seen that it said poor harvest. Okay, they were not very successful in growing anything except tobacco. Okay, some people argue that Jamestown's better because of the tobacco, because they were able to get really rich based off of it. But to me, farming is about crops. Okay, and where Komoko the Powhatan Indians were able to grow those, the beans, the squash, the corn, where they're able to survive on that stuff. They can eat. Okay, in order to make money off tobacco, they're going. Jamestown has to survive somehow, and they really weren't that good at growing crops to eat. The environment, hands down, where Komoko, nowhere in the Powhatan settlement did you see a trash pile, whereas in Jamestown you did.